It's not just our powers that are a bad matchup. You're also slower than I am, in case you hadn't noticed.
On the season finale of Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War.
This is just the thing I warned your funky friend about. You really shouldn't underestimate me. It can be fatal.
Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War. Next Saturday at midnight. On Toonami. On the next all-new episode of Blue Exorcist.
Just what kind of welcome is this supposed to be, Hachiro?
We think you already know quite well. You must follow through on your promise to us.
I don't give a damn. I'm not doing it.
How can you say that?
I guess that I just don't care anymore.
Unforgivable!
Blue Exorcist, Beyond the Snow Saga. Next Saturday night at 12:30 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Greetings, dear listeners. Welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy. We're recording November 11th of 2025. I am Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And we're here to discuss our usual shows and not usual shows. Some of them on Toonami, some of them not. Yeah, that's all I really got for the intro. So we'll start into this we'll start with the Toonami series. Time is over, so we'll be starting with Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War episode 24.
I forgot to ask, are you doing the recap
For Bleach?
Yeah.
Do you want me to? You usually do.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So let's see if I can remember exactly all the stuff here. Right, so we get some flashback stuff for Yubaha, but then we spend some. Basically, our main characters are trying to go back to the Soul King's palace to, go against Yubaha because he's gone there, and they've done. Remember that sort of weird rocket thing they used way back in the Soul Society arc to get into the Soul Society? Yeah, they're basically just doing that again. So, our main characters plus Ganju for some reason are heading there. And then the rest of it was basically Yubaha and the apparently most important Quincy's arriving at the Soul King's palace. They meet up with Squad Zero, and then they do a bunch of fighting. So, yeah, that's kind of it. I could go through all of the intricacies of the fight, but I mean, does it really matter? Does anyone think that, oh yeah, these characters that we just met these arc, they're just going to beat all the bad guys, and Ichigo will just get through and think, well, I guess everything's done. Let's head back down and spend the remaining 24 episodes partying.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way. 24 episodes of filler after the story's over, we just add filler just for the heck of it.
I mean, that is basically what Naruto did in its final season.
I was about to say that.
I think the episode, it was just kind of okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. I hate that Squad Zero because, we have perfectly good characters who we've built up over the course of a 300 episode anime, and instead of using those characters, let's just make up some new ones and throw them in there, and they'll become the heroes, and the people we build up for 300 episodes kind of just get either killed off or forgotten about. And yeah, same reason I don't like the Visors, but at least the Visors were around for about 100 episodes or so. So, um, yeah, I just hate the Squad Zero. It's kind of like you got a team, got your hockey team together, and you go through all your training and all your practices and all the lead up games, and all of a sudden the hockey coach says, "Oh, here's another player. Let's add him to the team and cut one of you guys." And it's like, that's not fair because he wasn't there for all the hard work. So, um, yeah, so I don't like Squad Zero getting to fight these big battles, but what I want doesn't matter. So, so there we go.
Bleach does really have a thing of just introducing a bunch of characters to make the previous ones less important. I mean, the whole Soul Society arc, when you get down to it, was basically that, for example. And then you met, and with all the captains and lieutenants, and then the one after that, they kind of did that again when they introduced divisors, and also all the Espada, but I won't count antagonists for that. And then, actually, the Fullbringer arc didn't really add particularly many new good guy characters now that I think of it. So I guess that one, for whatever problems it had, didn't have that. And then it's back with this, I guess, with, hey, here's a bunch of new characters. I feel, I don't know if this is completely true, because this is one of those things where I see a lot of people say this, but I don't know the original source, so maybe it's actually not true. But supposedly, Kubo, the writer of Bleach, at some point said, whenever I get writer's block, I just introduce new characters.
Isn't that... Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, because if you're introducing new characters, then that means you don't have writer's block. So those two things cannot be true at the same time.
Well, no, it's like if you're not sure where to take the story, I guess just introduce a bunch of new characters. I don't know if that's exactly what he said. I can't. Let me actually just see. Let's see. Let me see if I can find an actual source for this sort of thing. Dang it! Just doing a quick search for some of this stuff doesn't. Let's see. Let's see. Where could he have said it? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything off hand, but okay. Yeah, it might be one of those things where he said something and then people kind of changed it. So that's why I said I didn't know if he actually said it. But one thing you can definitely say, he sure likes to introduce new characters.
Yeah, that's true.
Like more so than I think like practically any other mangaka I can think of offhand. Like One Piece has a giant cast, but it just doesn't do it as much. It didn't like the Gote 13 just suddenly introduced, hey, here's like all of these captains and lieutenants, like 26 new people, or because there were 13. Granted, a bunch of the lieutenants didn't matter, but and there's like, here's the Espada, there's 10 of them. And then and then the Fullbringer introduced a bunch, and then of course Kubo felt that he needed to make 26 characters for the Quincy's because he needed to use each letter of the alphabet. So yeah. Anyway, we move on to Blue Exorcist episode. Let's see, what were we on? 50, I think it was. Let me double check. Yes, Blue Exorcist episode 50, start of season 4 in the, what do they call it? The Beyond the Snow saga. All right, so basically this episode is that they're getting some new instructors at the New Cross Academy who are really powerful. One of them, one of our characters, I cannot remember people. Why can I not remember this character's name? He was like the one character whose name I could remember in the past. You know, the one who wanted the guy to make him his disciple.
That guy, yeah.
What was
Yeah,
his
yeah.
name? He was like the one character whose name I could remember previously, and now I can't remember it. Let me see if I can just check on that. Ryuji, that was it. Ryuji.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Right. He wants to, so the guy, you know, puts him through some tests, which he ends up actually kind of failing some of them, but then he's like, yeah, whatever, you can do it. But then like starts asking him to do a bunch of menial stuff, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that. So yeah, it was more of a comedy episode on the whole, from what I remember. Oh, there was also that thing where, or was this last week? Wasn't it where there was a message that was being given to Reen's brother from Lucifer or something? Wasn't there something that was trying to get there? I can't even remember what the message was, but I know there was that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, aside from that about the message, a lot of this was just a comedy bit, especially the thing where the guy is giving the chant and someone's thinking, oh, that's a very long chant. And the guy starts it and he just says, and so on. And then it just starts and then it starts working immediately because he apparently is so good at it, he can just do it like that.
Yeah, I didn't think the episode was that bad. It was okay. Yeah, I just don't have much to say about it. So, yeah.
I also like the bit where this person has put these like symbols on the checkboard and says, so what are these? And then Reen, I think, says, well, so then I'm thinking, wow, that looks like PlayStation buttons. And then Reen like says, it looks like PlayStation buttons. Well, yeah. So actually he said some like, you know, legally distinct term, like PlayStation or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but it was obviously a reference to PlayStation. All right. So yeah. All right. After that, we are back to Mashle, season 2, and now which is episode 13. So Mashle's status as being, you know, magicless gets kind of exposed, which and after, you know, we do some stuff where we meet with some other characters for wacky shenanigans, including a part where what was the quote? I need to check what this quote was. Where what was it? I thought I wrote it down. Yeah, we've almost reached our goal, minus the mountain of problems. All right. Anyway, the big thing though is that then Mash gets put on trial for the whole, you know, hiding the fact he doesn't have magic, but it seems like he might be doing okay because he's able to show he can do stuff like light fires without touching it, you know, which he just does with friction or whatever. And yeah, that's the stuff there. Then there's also like an attack, and Mash is able to help defeat like the parasite thing, which was another funny bit where he just like pulls it out of the guy and then attacks him, but he's still able to beat it. And then I guess it just ends with them still trying to decide what to do about him, which is yeah, that's the episode.
Yep. I thought this was pretty entertaining, especially the part where Mashle had to make fire, and I'm like, sorry about that. Mashle, or yeah, he where he has to make fire, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like Blue Exorcist, where Rin had to make fire. But in this case, it was a lot different, and uh, but it was pretty entertaining. So yeah, I liked the episode.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. I'm glad to have the show back.
Yeah.
Also, I guess I might as well briefly mention that the theme song of this show was crazy popular in Japan. Mostly, I mean, part of it was music, but the other part is that bit where the characters are doing the weird sort of dance at the end. That apparently went like super mimetic, and even though the manga had finished by this point, it all like sales just surged up because of it. So maybe more anime need to be putting goofy dances in the theme song, although Witch Watch did that and it didn't seem to do that much for it. So we'll see.
Jason Classroom did that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it for that for Mashle. I don't have too much else to say. I mean, I could like list some of the jokes, but that would but you know, I don't need to go through all of those. So we got One Piece episode 751. So about 2/3 of the episode is Bartolomeo recapping the series. So I can just go through that. There is one thing that I was curious about, and that's the fact when we're seeing this stuff that happened before, we're seeing it in HD, but obviously it originally aired in standard definition. So I was wondering, did they like reanimate it, or did they just take the original stuff and just blew it up so that it would fit in HD? I'm going to guess it was new because it didn't seem like it was zoomed in, but just a random thought I had. Okay, so after that, we basically, once we're done with that, we find out there's some stuff with the Navy about this one guy who at least thinks he's Whitebeard's son. You probably don't. Actually, you didn't see any of the stuff with Whitebeard, so that probably didn't mean anything for it. The important thing, though, is that, yes, Luffy and this group finally make it to the place where I think, Nami and Chopper and the other characters are, but that just turns out it's a giant elephant.
Yeah. That's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, super giant elephant. We're talking like just to be clear, if you haven't seen it, as in like there are people. There's like a society apparently that just lives on its back.
And the thing moves from place to place. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of it was just a recap, and I'm kind of sick of Bartolomeo and his fawning over Luffy. I'm like, okay, this has gone too far, and Luffy's not that great. I mean, come on, I don't understand his obsession with Luffy. It's just gotten stale at this point. Like, I'm ready for him to move on, go somewhere else, and allow the Straw Hats to be themselves again. And maybe we might. We got to see Nami and Chopper. Surprisingly, we got to see them in a flashback. So we're taking baby steps toward getting them back into the show again. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if Bartolomeo sticks around after this. I actually did read like the next arc in the manga, but it's been so long, it's all very much a blur. I feel he might be around, but I don't think he has as big of a role going forward. But I'm not 100% sure from my memories.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's it for the Toonami series. Now that we've gotten all those, let's move on to the non-Toonami series. We've got Yu Yu Hakusho episode 70. Oh, dang, is this 79 or this is 80? This is episode 80, right? All right, so Yusuke is having to fight the sniper guy who, again, is just having all this stuff come at him. Eventually, he uses his power to send a truck after Yusuke, which Yusuke can't blow up with a spirit gun because it's a gasoline truck and would cause a giant explosion. So Yusuke spends a bunch of the episode trying to avoid being hit by the truck and sent to an Isekai series. But then ultimately, Hiei basically shows up and beats the guy for him. And Hiei just says, well, I just did it to help the trees. But Yusuke is able to talk him into joining up with them again, because he says, well, I heard you wanted that chapter black tape since we has it. And then he is like, well, I guess I have nothing else to do. And yeah, then they end up meeting up with the others, and they've all found the cave where Sensui's hiding, where he's brought to Kuwabara, so they're going to go in there and I guess fight them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, kind of a straightforward episode. Nothing too much to say, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to the other series in we're returning to once again our attempt to try to check out the new series that will be trying out, or returning series, the so-called May Madness 2, which isn't in May, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's always May in a way,
Mm-hmm.
Don't think too hard about that. All right, so we got 4 shows. So I'm gonna try discussing things slightly differently. So we'll be trying, I think, 2 of them at a time, and then at the end we'll say which ones of this whole group we thought was the best. So, okay, I was thinking maybe originally, I think I suggested we say our favorites of each of these 2, but maybe we don't need to do that, and just we'll discuss them sort of more in 2 groups. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. So the first ones, 2 we've got is Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider, and the Banished Court Magician aims to become the strongest. So I suggested that we just try to come up with 11-word sentences summarizing each of these shows. So do you want to share? So shall we go through them then? I guess.
Did
you do
go first?
Okay, sure. For Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider. Well, this one is kind of lazy, but here's my description. Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider and apparently does so.
Mine was Tojima wants to rip off an old sew to make money.
Yeah. So Tojima, I mean, the title says it. If people don't know, Kamen Rider, it's a series in Japan. Actually, do you know much about Kamen Rider?
No.
Okay. So Kamen Rider is basically a fairly long-running live action series in Japan. It's part of the tokusatsu genre, which is basically Power Rangers. It's like that. You have people who go out and fight monsters while they're in those sort of outfits. And it's in its 36th season right now. So it's been going on a long time. And yeah, main character really wants to be a Kamen Rider since he was a kid, and then it turns out that there's some guys who are apparently pulling off crimes that are based on some bad guy organization from the Kamen Rider series. So then he just fights them, and
he wins.
Yeah, and wins them. I should have specified that. I get the feeling. So here's the thing. I know a little more about Kamen Rider than you do. I don't know much more. Like Super Sentai is the one that I'm more familiar with. In case anyone's wondering, Super Sentai it's basically Power Rangers. Literally, Power Rangers just took fighting footage from Super Sentai and then made new plots around it. That's how Power Rangers worked. So So I knew a little about that, but not so much Kamen Rider, which ironically there was actually an attempt to do that with Kamen Rider. There was this show called Masked Rider, which was the same sort of thing as Power Rangers. Hey, we'll take battle footage from the original series and make our new plots around it, but that was not really a success. So, but I don't really know that much about it. I get the feeling this is the kind of show that would probably be more, that someone would probably like more if they had, I guess, knew about Kamen Rider, which I didn't. There's probably a lot of references I'm missing.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, that's I guess my thoughts on that. So, anything else you wanted to say about it?
No, honestly, it just felt like they were just trying to rip off Kamen Rider to turn this into a anime, and kind of fell flat for me.
Okay.
I didn't really enjoy it, so yeah.
All right. So the other one would be the banished court magician aims to become the strongest. All right. So again, so the summary I just wrote for this was banished from the party anime. Is there anything else to say?
Mine says this: the banished court magician aims to become the most boring show.
So some of these titles really just do invite themselves to be made into like our summaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, I mean, it's a banished from the party anime, which there are way too many of nowadays. Like we saw the Unaware Atelier Meister last uh a bit. I mean, we dropped that one after one, but we saw that's one. I know we both watched a bit of Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life on the countryside, which I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, that was like the actually good Banished series. But yeah, most of them, kind of like this one, are just, well, they get banished for a dumb reason, but they're super strong. So then they just join up with some other people and, and are going to do amazing things because they're super strong and weren't being appreciated originally.
Mhm.
I also did think it was kind of funny that the main character, he gets told by his mentor, never become a court magician. So he decides, I'm going to pay him back for his help by becoming a court magician. Other than that, yeah, based on the first episode, it's just your typical banished from the party series. I will be fair and say I have seen some people say that while the first episode is really dull and generic, it is better in the subsequent ones, still kind of falling prey to a lot of the usual generic like tropes of this sort of thing, but at least doing it more competently than a lot of other series. But based on the first episode, at least it's not so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Moving on to the next one, we've got Sanda. My description for this one was a kid turns into a muscular Santa Claus when wearing red.
Here's mine. The night Santa went crazy. The night Saint Nick went insane.
that's that's a good one. Yeah. Basically, yeah. Like we mentioned, apparently a kid's a descendant of Santa Claus, and when he wears red, he turns into Santa Claus, but like a really muscular version of him. Then again, maybe Santa Claus is really muscular. I mean, maybe he's big. Maybe that's not fat. Maybe it's all muscles. Yeah, this is a weird show.
I have to say, this actually made me laugh out loud quite a few times during it. Um, I think it's just from it being so ridiculous that it was like, okay, this is actually funny. I'm kind of in on the joke now. So
Hmm.
they just want to be crazy, and I'm like, okay, okay, I'm pretty. I think this is pretty funny. So, yeah. Uh, for a first episode, I'm not exactly sure like what this is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be humor, dark humor? Is it supposed to be serious in any way? Because if it is trying to be serious, then it's missing the mark. But if it's just trying to be funny, then I think it's actually accomplishing its goal. So, yeah, it would depend on how it goes from here, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, when I said weird, I mean that in both kind of good ways and bad ways. There was a lot of funny stuff in here, and so, but in other, but it also was kind of weird. Honestly, the series reminded me quite a bit of Dawn to Dawn when you get down to it, both in it being really weird and wacky, and also the fact that the main character can turn is a just this kind of random weak guy who can turn into a much stronger version of himself under some circumstances.
Mhm.
It's just I kind what did I write in my notes? This show was deranged in a good way.
Mhm.
Actually,
By the way, yeah, go ahead.
fun fact, this was actually animated by the same studio that did Dawn to Dawn.
Did you catch where I got my 11-word sentence from?
Yeah, was that from a Weird Al song?
Yeah, it was. I heard it this week. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally using this.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to say about that?
No, not really.
All right. So we've got the dark history of the reincarnated villainess as our last one. So my description was it's it's the dramatic return of Truck-kun. Also, it's a villainess series.
Mine is major vibes of why Ray Liana ended up at the Duke's mansion.
Yeah, yeah. So this is I guess I might as well actually talk about villainess series because I don't think you've seen any like what you would normally call villainess, just some ones that are villainess adjacent. So the premise of a villainess series, as they say, is it's a subgenre of isekai where a character finds themselves reincarnating into another world that's just like some piece of fiction, normally an otome game that they were familiar with in their original life. And they're the villainess character from that. And since the bad things happen to the villainess, they realize, oh, I got to try to stop this or and try to prevent it. And there's a whole lot of series with this premise. Like let me actually I think I had a list of them and I just if only because I want to dang I thought I had it written down but I didn't but there's a lot of these and this is the last one thing I've noticed about villainess series is the fact anyway sorry is the fact that they are it's about the most consistently decent subgenre I've seen of anime. Like none of them are amazing but not a single one I've seen has been bad either.
uh,
So a villainous adjacent one would be why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's mansion, because it's basically the same premise. She's just technically not a villainess. She's just the person who dies at the start and wants to avoid that. And yeah, it's very much like that. Really. The big twist of the general villainess genre is that in this one, it's not like a game or something she played or a book she wrote. It was just a story she wrote. It was just a really dumb story she wrote when she was a teenager.
mhm.
And yeah, I feel like I had a lot on the whole, I actually thought this was pretty funny. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought not only was it funny, but it was actually Well, I mean, yeah, it was funny, especially her things. It did have the whole Ray Liana vibes to it. Like it felt like the same thing, but in a good way because it felt to me like I I I was interested in seeing how she's going to break out of what's already been written and supposed to happen, and so I thought that those were some clever ways of doing that. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Hmm. Yeah, and she of course derails the plot by saving the protagonist, who is basically a Mary Sue of hers in her
Yeah,
story.
Mary
Uh,
Sue.
yeah, where she's from like having something traumatic happen to her, but then realize, wait, in the story, that was what made her awaken her magical power, which was necessary to, deal with the stuff that was going to happen. Uh-oh, now I'm going to have to
Yeah.
worry about that. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I was kind of surprised because this was ranked kind of low on my anime list. And I thought, I thought it was actually pretty decent so far.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it. So I will say one thing that I have often had kind of an annoyance with these is that I'm like thinking, if you're gonna end up in a story in this world that's just like a story you wrote or you read or whatever, I want some explanation as to why that's the case. Like alternate isekai worlds, whatever. I don't know. I guess you can say, well, someone just ends up in another world for some reason. Why? Well, I'm okay with that. But they end up in a world that's an exact duplicate of like a book or something. Now I have questions.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe they will. The manga this is based on is still ongoing, and maybe it does give an explanation. Who knows? But yeah, decent. So I guess we've gone through the four. Shall we name which of the four we thought was our favorite?
Yeah, so I whenever I watch them, the first one I watched held up as the top one until the final one I watched, and then once I hit the final one, that one took the prize. So I am going with the Villainess series because I got that Ray Liana feeling, and I was like, you know what? I enjoyed Ray Liana a lot. I think I'm going to give this a chance.
Okay. Well, that was my top pick also, actually. So that solves that. Well, we'll see. I'm going to, based on our discussion, I'm going to guess that I'll say, I'm going to guess my second pick is the same as yours. My second pick was Sanda.
Yep, that was mine too.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it was going to be my first one, and then I saw the Villainess series. I'm like, Villainess is a little better, but the Santa was just so crazy that it was worth hanging around for another episode.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have the two that are going to be advancing, Sanda and the Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess.
Hmm.
And for next week, all right, next week we're changing things slightly. Basically, basically we had it set up with a nice even 16, and then because I was like, okay, that's a number of series that are coming and that have dubbed -1 we weren't interested in, and -1 that wouldn't premiere until like December, I think. And then suddenly I find out, oh no, wait, there's another one that's getting a dub. I just didn't, because it's by Aniplex, and those net don't get announced with the rest in the same place as the rest of them. So I'm thinking, oh well, do we want to check it out? Well, might as well, because why not? Worst case scenario, we decide that was the worst thing that we have ever seen, and let's
Hmm.
forget it. So yeah,
Is
we
it
we
Michiko and Hatchin too?
uh, that was
I think I was too hard on that show, actually. I'll be honest. If I rewatch that today, I probably think this isn't all that bad.
It's
So,
I I don't think you'd like it. Maybe you dislike it less. I still think it's just kind of boring and just goes on too long. I think it should have been like half the length. And at the end of the day, I watch it. I'm just like this, and I just think this is a worse version of Samurai Champloo. All right.
no, don't disparage Samurai Champloo like that. Samurai Champloo, that was a slow burn. That series was started out. I'm like, what is this thing? And then about halfway through, I'm like, okay, this is okay. And then near the end, it just had some hilarious episodes, and I'll never forget that the one with the guy doing a cult and using a giant gun as part of his cult. That was hilarious. And then the baseball episode too. Yeah, I, I think I still have the Blu-ray for that. I'll have to rewatch that sometime.
Okay. All right. So basically, what we did was we just kind of redid the sort of bracket, just set up a new one with 9 shows. The way it worked out is that, like, since there's 2 series, like, just basically 7 series, 7 of the series get buys. The first 2 end up in their own thing. We'll just throw those in with the other 3. I don't know if I'm explaining this at all well, and I don't know if people actually care that much either. The end of the point of this is that for next week, we're going to be checking out Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, Ninja versus Gokudo, Let's Play, Genosia, that's spelled Gnosia, and Pass the Monster Meet My Lady. Ninja versus Gokudo is on Amazon Video. The others are on Crunchyroll for anyone who is trying to watch along with us. So those are the series that we'll be checking out next week.
Okay.
And all right, anything else to discuss? Oh, we should actually say what our favorite shows were, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we already said the non-Toonami one, but I'm obviously not going to pick Yu Yu Hakusho. I can't remember the last time I did. Actually, I actually can remember. It was exactly on September 3rd. So it's been a while. But I was going to say Blue Exorcist, and then we went through the review of it, and I'm like, yeah, what did I really like about Blue Exorcist? So I switched over to the Mashle. Mashle wins it for me. And my best girl is Yana from the Villainess series, which I still can't remember the exact title to it. But I just call it the Villainess series.
I mean, compared to some, it's on the lower, shorter end of Villainess series. Like, well, what are some of them? My Next Life is a Villainess, All Roads Lead to Doom. I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen, from Villainess to Savior. From Bureaucrat to Villainess, Dad's been reincarnated. Villainous level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the demon lord. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. That's all the Villainess series I can think of offhand. I think there is 1 or 2 more, though.
Mm-hmm.
All of these, you might notice, have rather lengthy titles.
Uh-huh.
So, all right. So for me, I'll pick for Toonami. I got Mashle. For the non-Toonami, well, it wasn't Yu Yu Hakusho for me either. It's the Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess.
Okay.
All right. So I think that works out pretty well. Anything else to discuss now that we've actually gotten past the stuff where I said anything else to discuss?
Uh-huh. Well, I'm getting closer and closer to the end of Bleach, and I finally got to see Eisen get defeated because the first time around, I uh, I moved and didn't have uh, cable service where I moved to, so I wasn't able to watch the episode whenever they premiered. So I got to see Eisen's defeat, and man, that happened really fast. Like I thought this was gonna last like about 20 episodes or so, but in reality, all it took was Ichigo getting the new power, and then it took 2 episodes to take him down. I'm like, wow, that like yeah, there was battles with him and Kisuke Urahara and Yorichi and Ichigo's dad, and they all just kind of got tossed aside like rag dolls. But then Ichigo goes up against him after getting that special thing, and it's like it only took a couple episodes to beat him. So I was like, man, this actually wasn't nearly as long and drawn out as I thought it was. So yeah, I was surprised about that. Um, and then we find out Ichigo's going to lose his powers and he's going to be tormented by it, and it's going to be extremely painful. But we don't know when that's going to happen. That could happen anytime in the next year. So Ichigo's got to just sit around and wait for something extremely painful to happen to him. And yeah, that's kind of bizarre, but apparently that is uh, what I'm at on Bleach right now. I'm going through the filler episodes, so we've had some really bizarre filler so far, and we keep on having filler. So I'm not quite at the Fullbringer arc yet.
Okay. And you're reviewing, I know you're reviewing them. Where can any listeners read your reviews?
Yeah, TommyAPhillips.com, Anime Bowl 2. Click on that and you can see it there.
Okay. All right. I think that's all of them then. So I don't have anything particularly interesting to add, I don't think. Other than I did want to, there was one remark I wanted to mention. I almost forgot, which was the fact that last week I commented how much Isekai series there were that we were watching in the non-Toonami shows. What I neglected to mention was that, and now we have fewer. We only had one Isekai of the non-Toonami. What I didn't mention is that we had a kind of, when you get down to it, a surprisingly high percentage of Isekai on Toonami, because we had Dragon Ball Daima. That's an Isekai, and that's over, so less Isekai on Toonami there. But we still do have Bleach, which I think someone could make a plausible case as an Isekai at this point.
Oh, I didn't realize Dragon Ball was an Isekai.
Well, no, Dragon Ball Daima was.
Oh, okay.
Regular Dragon Ball isn't, but Dragon Ball Daima was an Isekai. Most certainly. So yes, less Isekai now. Now with less Isekai. There, maybe that'll be a decent title, unless you can come up with something better. Okay. All right, that's it for now. One more time to briefly mention. Next week we've got Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, Ninja vs. Gokudo, Let's Play, Gnosia, and Pass the Monster Meat, My Lady. And yes, we do, as someone might be able to tell by the title, we do have another Isekai coming up next week. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we're done. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Run for cover and get ready to see how it all began.
Is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City?
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Get those wonderful toys.
Toonami's first live-action movie, Batman. Next Saturday night at 7.
You're
dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Only Toonami on Cartoon Network.